Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be making this cute little Sam. His body is all one piece, and then we will have to embroider all the little details on afterwards. For this video I will be using a number 4 medium weight yarn, a 4.25 millimeter hook, and 10 millimeter safety eyes. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you, and I'm also providing a drop down at the top of the screen with the pattern instructions for the first 30 seconds of every row for you to follow along with. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you'll also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. Okay, I think that's everything, so grab your yarn and let's get started. All right, we are going to begin at the top of the head, and you can start your rounds any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm going to be doing a knot with the loop on the end, so what I do is I fold my yarn in half. I'm going to grab up at the top to make a loop, wrap that around my finger, bring it down, around, and through to make my knot, grab that loop, and then I'm just going to slide my knot up so that my loop is just a little bit bigger than my hook. And we're going to insert our hook. Grab our yarn, pull up, and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we're going to do 8 single crochets into our loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're going to pull on that tail to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we are going to do 8 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 16. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch, increase again 3 and 4 in the same stitch, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12, increase 13 and 14, and our last increase 15 and 16. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that around for a total of 24. So 1 single crochet for 1, 1 increase for 2 and 3, and then repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, increase, 20 and 21, 22, and our last increase, 23 and 24. Row 4, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 5, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 6, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 7, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 8, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. All right, the next row we are going to be going in the front loop. So if you've never done that before, I'm just going to quickly show you what we want to do. So normally you go down under the stitch, under those 2 V's to do your single crochet. So for the front loop, you're going to come still down, but you're going to come up through the center and just catch that front loop all the way around, because we're going to need these back loops to continue on with the rest of the body. So for row 9 in the front loops, we're going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. So you're going to come down and up through that V. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'll just show you quickly what it should be looking like on the other side. So here's all your back loops for your next row. Continue on. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And then you're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And we are going to tie off this color. Give it a cut, but leave yourself a long tail, because we're going to use this to go around and make the seam on his head. So I've got quite a long tail here. Okay, now grab your next color. So we are going to be attaching this yarn. So you can do it any way you prefer, but I like to do my knot with the loop on the end. And we are going to come in. Make sure you're still crocheting the same way. So if you're crocheting up here, make sure you're like this. You don't want to be starting like this, because then you'll be going inside out on the bottom half. And if you flip down this little bit of a ledge you just made, that's going to make it really easy to get into your back loops. So go into that first back loop. Let's attach our yarn. Pull it through. I'm going to chain 1, but I don't know if you need to. And then for row 10 in the back loops, we are going to do 24 single crochets. So we're going to start in that same stitch we just attached our yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 11, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. And remember, if you did a chain, don't go in the chain. You want to go in where those first two V's, just under the V there, behind your first single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 12, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 13, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Now we're just going to take our hook out because we're going to add the eyes now and a little bit of stuffing. We'll get those ready. And then what we got to do is find our front center. So we're going to start by looking in the back. And I'm going to use this as my back center. And we're just going to flip it over to the front. And we are going to count down to between rows 5 and 6. So our starting loop is row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're just going to go there between rows 5 and 6. And I'm just going to pick a stitch. And I'm in a stitch and I have 2 holes on either side. Then you're going to grab one of your eyes and you're going to start at that first hole beside your pin. 1, 2, 3. And in that third hole is where you're going to put your first eye. Then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Find your pin. The first hole is where you're going to start counting. 1, 2, 3. And in that third stitch. Then let's put the backs on. And now let's add a little bit of stuffing. So you want to put about 2/3 of the stuffing in. So you want it enough that you have it mostly full, but you can still work in the stitches for the last couple rows. So I'm going to go about like that. And then also our next row is going to be in the back loop. So if you've never done that before, instead of going under your stitch and under those 2 V's in your stitch, you're going to come down in the center of the V and then just catch these back loops, and that leaves these front loops open and it will make the bottom flat. So let's get our hook back in. So for row 14 in the back loops, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that around for a total of 16. So down through the V, 1 single crochet for 1, 1 decrease for 2, and repeat that around. 3, and a decrease for 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, and a decrease for 10. And you should notice that now you are seeing that ridge of front loops across the front. Keep on going. 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, and a decrease for 14, 15, and decrease for 16. And then for row 15, we'll be going back normal through our stitches, and we're going to do 8 decreases all the way around. So 1 decrease, 2 decreases, 3 decreases, 4 decreases, 5 decreases, 6 decreases, 7 decreases, and 8 decreases. And then you're just going to slip stitch into the next stitch, tie that off, leaving yourself a long tail in case you want to bring it up through here and use it later. And we're going to give that a cut. Take out our stitch marker. Then we're going to add the last of our stuffing. And what our goal here is to have the body fairly firm, but we don't want to be stuffing it past these front loops. So we're just going to kind of scooch our stuffing to the side into the corners. So just kind of feel around. If there feels like there's a pocket of air there, that's where you'll put your stuffing. Let's see, a little bit more yet. Alright, I got the body mostly full, so I'm just going to kind of feel around where a little bit needs to go in the sides. And if it starts rounding out on you, then you have enough. You don't want it to have a round bottom. So see, mine's a little bit rounded, but I can still push my stuffing in a bit yet. Okay, and I'm going to leave this open because we're going to be putting all of our detail ends in and out of the bottom. Alright, we're going to do the little hands and feet first, so grab yourself a fair sized chunk of the matching head color. We'll thread that on. And for the hands, we're just going to kind of line up with the eye, and we're going to go down 2 rows. So we're not in this first row of orange, we're in the next row of orange. So start down in the bottom and then come up, and whatever stitch you feel matches best, that's straight even with the bottom center of the eye. Pull most of your yarn through, leave a little bit for tying. And then we're going to go to the outside and wrap our yarn just around that one stitch. And we're going to do 3 times, or 4 times, sorry. 1, 2, 3, and then on our 4th one, we're going to come over and do the other side. So make sure you stay in that same row. You're centered underneath the eye. And then you're going to go to the outside again, wrapping around this one stitch. 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and then on our 4th one, we're going to come down and we're going to do our foot. And we want to be kind of centered under the hand, and in that hole just above the front loop. So if he was like this, it's just these holes just above that ridge of front loops. And then this time we're going to go inside towards the center around that stitch. Four times, so that's twice. 3, and then on our 4th one, we're going to come down and over and do our other foot. So just kind of in the center under that arm, just above that ridge of front loops. And again, come towards the center around that stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then on our 4th one, we're just going to come out the bottom, and then we'll tie those ends together. Give them a cut. And then we're going to take a scrap of yellow to do the little marks in the front of his body. And I'm basically just going to be making 2 little X's. So I'm going to make an X up at the top here. So I'm going to start right actually where his hand is. Leave a little bit of string for tying. Then I'm going to go diagonally over to this stitch, straight across into the next stitch, and then back down into this stitch. So we're just making a little X. And then we're going to come over right into where our other foot on the other side starts. And we're going to make an X there too. So we're just going to go on a diagonal and over, and then back down diagonally this way and out the bottom. And we're going to tie those 2 ends together. Cut them off. Now we're going to take our back tail from when we tied off our top color, thread that end on, and we're going to come down first and across and come into the center right above that ridge there. Whoop. So right in there, make sure you're in the center. I think I'll go one more over. So I'm right there. Pull it all the way through, but not too tight. You don't want to smush your face like this. So just till it starts to feel tight. Then you're going to come up, around, back down. We'll go through here, through our little ridge. And then we're going to tie it to one of these stitches. And don't pull it too tight. Just nice and loose. And then you can tie it one more time if you need to make it a little tighter. So there's one. You don't want to pull this tight. And just to secure it, you can do one more a little tighter. And then you're just going to hide that in the best as you can. And out the bottom. Give it a good pull to try and get that knot in. And then we'll cut that end off. Right now we're going to take whatever color you're going to be using to do the little stitches around. And I've already stole one off of this, so I'm going to try and steal another one. This is just a piece of yarn, and I separate it into 4s and take one strand out. If you have embroidery thread, use that. It will look a lot nicer. Then you're just going to pull them apart. So here I've got my chunk of thread. I'm going to put that on our needle. Come up the bottom, and we're just going to come up in a stitch right at the top of this little lip we made, and we're going to just be going around and around on an angle. So come up through the bottom, go into your first hole, and there's nothing pretty about this. You can do it however you want. I just decided to go up a row and over, so like that, and then I go straight across. And I'm going to go up over into the next row and straight across. Up over into the next row and straight across. You may have to kind of fiddle with where your hook ends up. Up again and straight across. Oh, I see what's happening. Maybe it might be a good idea to pin that in the center there. That'll help keep that there. So I just got to pin so it stays centered. And it doesn't matter, I got different stitches. That is actually what a burlap bag looks like. It's not fancy at all. So we're just going to continue going up and across. Up and across. And kind of just play around here, catching a stitch on one side and over. Up and across. Up and across. This one's going to be a long one, I guess. Up and across. Up and across. Up and across. I guess we're going down and across now, but and I think I'll do one more. Oh no, I'm going to go down here and out. So I originally was going to do little X's, so go all the way back the same way, but I think I like it this way, so that's how I left it. If you're happy with that, come out the bottom. If you're not, you can go back the other way. Then you're just going to lightly tie this. Take that pin out. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with the mouth. I already have, this is the last one that I've been taking off of, so separate your yarn if you need to, or grab your embroidery thread. We're going to be doing the mouth, and this is the part I wasn't sure about on this guy, so I just kind of went over. I'm going to be one row up from where our little lip here is, just kind of under the eye. And I'm going to go back behind, because if I put my needle in there, it's really going to pull it over and my mouth is going to look short. So we'll just bring that through, leaving some thread for tying. We're going to go all the way over to match whatever stitch you went in on this side. And then we're just going to go around, whoops, around this, which stitch am I in? That one. We're going to go over, and then we're just going to go around this the same way we did this, only we're going to try and go straight vertically instead of across. So we're going to go up, come over into the next stitch over here, go up, however you want to do it. I'm actually going to put 2 in this one so they kind of straighten out a bit. Oh, I should have went over. And then we're going to go up. You don't even have to be in a hole if you don't want to be. I'm going to go to the other side. So I only have 3 on this side, so I'm going to try and make 3 on this side. That's about the only thing I really seemed to worry about was how many I had. Almost feels like I should have 2 on this side. I am just having 2 on this side, but I unfortunately caught some stuffing there. So I'm going to clean that up and then I'll come right back. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap around that same area again and then come out. So my mouth is not even, but that's okay. Then you're just going to tie it. I'm just going to show you my other one because somehow I got a whole heck of a lot more stitches in that side than I did on this one. So see, they're very different, but both of them look okay. And then just for the heck of it, because I have a bow in the front of my larger version of this, I decided to try and tie something around this guy's sack on his head. So I can't put it in the front because you're not going to see all this, so I just picked a stitch close to the side. Maybe this one. This one I'll try. I went around the stitch all the way. Leave some string here for tying your bow. All the way around is the little frill there. And then back in around that stitch. You want to have it kind of in the divot. It ended up, you can't really see it, but I do like the little bow, so I'm going to keep that. So I gave it a bit of a tight pull just to bring that in, and then we'll tie our little bow. And this is where using thread isn't that great because it kind of separated on me here. And then we'll just give that a cut. And then let's close the bottom up. And if you want to cover these little ends, all you need to do is take a little bit of stuffing and we're just going to tuck it in the very bottom, just underneath. Like that. And then you can't see any of those ends. Now let's thread our ending tail on. And all we're going to do is weave in and out of these top loops of our last row. And there I'm at the end. There's my knot where I started. Then you're just going to pull that tight, nice and closed. And then tie a knot into the next stitch. Do two if you need to. And we'll come up the center and out the top of the head. And you may just have to kind of play around with the shape if you've kind of pushed them out of shape. And there you go. There's our little Sam. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you'll also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who has been so kind to have hit the thanks button and sent me such generous donations. You will now be listed at the end of all my next videos as my super thanks friends. Take care. be safe, and happy crocheting.